Today, Intel's 14th gen is a joke, Intel's raising prices, AMD's new GPU gets a launch date, and RX 8000 comes with some insane specs. Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. First up for today, I recently went over the specs for Intel's 14th gen non-K CPUs, and from those we saw that only the i7 14700 would be getting a boost in core count, but I was holding out for a fairly decent jump in boost clocks. At least something to make this new generation of CPUs seem worth it. Well, in a new post from the same leaker on Twitter, we finally get confirmation on boost clocks, and if this is right, 14th gen will be a joke of a release. When we look at the clocks, comparing them to 13th gen, each CPU got a measly boost of 200 MHz, except for the 14400 chip, which only saw an increase of 100 MHz. Now, you might be saying, hold on GamerMeld, what about IPC? Because clocks aren't everything when it comes to a new generation of CPUs. Well, if the refresh part doesn't give it away, according to current leaks, Intel's 14th gen CPUs will have the exact same architecture as their 13th gen parts. And that's the same in both the big and little cores. So we basically don't see any IPC increase if this is right. That also means that at these higher clocks, they'll likely suck even more power than the 13th gen does now. So you'd likely be better off just overclocking your 13th gen CPU. Of course, the core count boost in the 14700 is nice, and maybe more K models will get core increases. Maybe. Let's just say I wouldn't hold my breath. Next up for today, I have some terrible news. Intel is apparently planning to raise prices of their current, past, and future CPUs. But first, if you haven't made your way to Micro Center yet, I've got great news. Their Indianapolis store is officially open, and they sponsored today's video so I can tell you all about it. For starters, if you're in the area or any of their other locations, you definitely want to check them out. Micro Center is basically heaven for PC enthusiasts. They have it all. I'm talking PC cases, GPUs, CPUs, they even have a full-on wall of motherboards. No one else has this stuff in person so you can see it before you buy. And July is their school savings event, where they have some sweet deals on notebooks, PCs, and more. Like this 2K 165Hz curved display for $80 off. Oh, and when you go, make sure to visit the link in the description to get this exclusive deal of $25 off any CPU, whether it's Team Red or Blue. And given they already have some of the best prices in the industry, $25 more is just icing on the cake. So don't wait and visit your nearest Micro Center today. Now back to the story. This one originally comes from a forum moderator on PC Games Hardware and later reported by WCCF Tech. According to the story, two German suppliers verified a letter from Intel that disclosed the price hikes. The letter essentially states that Intel told their retailers that all of their CPUs in stock will be getting a price increase. We're talking last gen's Alder Lake, current gen's Raptor Lake, and even the next gen Raptor Lake refresh. Basically, all of Intel's CPUs are getting a price increase. Intel apparently didn't give a reason for these increases, but PC Games Hardware makes the assumption that it could be related to the semiconductor fabs Intel's been working on for quite a while now, including one that's being made in Eastern Germany, where Germany recently denied more subsidies for the company. Of course, a price increase may ultimately be detrimental for Intel, as customers could simply pick their competition instead or just not buy it at all. Currently, we don't know what these price increases will be, but there is potentially good news, as there's a chance these are only for German markets. But as of right now, we really don't know. Next up, if you saw my last video, you know that AMD is planning to release a new high-end GPU this week. And if you didn't see that video, make sure you're subscribed to GamerMeld so you don't miss any more. Either way, in a new tweet from the well-known leaker Momomo_US, he says 28 GRE, which means that AMD is planning to launch their new 7900 GRE on the 28th of July. So the other rumors claiming that the new card would launch this week look to be correct. I mean, the 28th is just 2 days away. Don't forget that the GRE stands for Golden Rabbit Edition and is very similar to AMD's 7900 XT in that it has the same number of cores as well as clocks. But instead of 20 gigabytes of GDDR6, it only comes with 16, and that's across a 256-bit bus instead of 320. It's also quite a bit slimmer than its bigger brother, which leads me to believe it may be the rumored Navi 32 and Navi 31 hybrid GPU. Either way, it's clearly meant to be a cheaper 7900 XT, but it could end up performing nearly the same in many games, so it'll be really interesting to see. As Video Cards mentions, it may target the Chinese market at first, but keep an eye out for its release in other regions as well. Fingers crossed. And lastly for today, I've got a really exciting story regarding AMD's next-gen RX 8000 GPUs. This one comes from a new video by Red Gaming Tech, who shared some updated specs as well as release info on AMD's RX 8000 GPUs. Starting things off, he shared the older specs he received and then went over the new ones to see what's changed. Remember that as of right now, even AMD likely doesn't 100% know the final specs. They have performance targets and ideas on how to get there, but things do change the closer we get to release, so this makes sense. Either way, early reports suggested that AMD would finally move to using multiple GCX modules in a single GPU. Remember that while RDNA 3 is a multi-chip module, there's only one chip that contains all the processing logic. Well, RDNA 4 was rumored to come with more than one. Unfortunately, that doesn't look to be the case anymore, but there's still good news. The earlier information claimed that with multiple graphics modules, AMD would get to 144 CUs, but even with a single module, they're still claiming 60 workgroup processors, which comes with 2 CUs each. So we're still looking at 120 CUs. Not only that, but they're targeting a boost clock of over 3 GHz, GDDR7 memory, and a really big one here. Apparently RX 8000 comes with dedicated hardware to handle BVH traversal in ray tracing. Remember a little while back, I went over a really interesting patent from AMD that showed a dedicated traversal engine. Well, it looks like that may in fact be for next gen, so we can expect a big performance jump in ray tracing if this is right. Unfortunately, he is hearing that performance targets are lower than the previous 2 times number over RX 7000, but with that said, anywhere near that is still great. As for wattage, we're looking at 350 to 450 watts. Finally, he's hearing that next gen GPUs are set to release in Q1 of next year, and that's definitely a bummer given we usually get new GPUs every 2 years. Still, it's not much further than we originally would have thought, but not exactly great. Those specs on the other hand definitely are. So while that does it for today, are next-gen GPUs getting you excited, or do you just think they'll be too expensive? Let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to check out Micro Center in the description below. And as always, have a great day.